Okay. Hello again, everybody. My name is J.A. Davis. Technically, it's Jeff Sievertson. My author name, or nom de plume, is J.A. Davis. It's actually a concatenation of J for Jeff. My wife's name is Amanda, and my middle name is Davis. And the reason we chose that is because, for one, I wanted to make sure that my wife had a piece of that name because she actually helped me to write the book. If you look in the front cover, you'll see that she is one of the editors, or she is the editor of the book. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been able to actually create this book at all. And I jokingly tell people that I didn't want my name on it just in case it wasn't very good. But so far, we've had a lot of good reviews on Amazon, Goodreads, some Barnes and Noble. We've done interviews at Comic-Cons, and most of the people have discovered us through a Comic-Con, especially in Indiana or down in Cincinnati. And I did an introductory video last time just to kind of talk about what I want to talk about in this video series. And so for this time, I hope to kind of get into an issue or a topic that I've actually been asked quite a bit about. And hopefully you can see the title of the slide. It says all those funny words. Let me give you an example. If make sure I did this right. Did it work? Nope. Let's see if it's going to work. This was one of the reviews that we had gotten. It actually was a 5-star review on Amazon. And you can go up on Amazon and see it. You probably can't see the URL at the bottom, but from our webpage you can go find the Amazon authors page and then read this review. But it says, great story, but the author tried too hard to have original words without any real language between them. Says this is a very good book. The story is original. The characters are very fleshed out, and you can't help but love them. This is probably one of the best books I read in a long time, and I can't wait to read the other two. And of course, this person had read our first book in the series, which is The Raising. The series is called Into the East. And the second book is The Returning, and the third is The Rising. And all three books are out, and it is a complete trilogy. The way it was written, though, we plan on and hope to be able to, in the future, write either another trilogy or a larger fourth book that kind of connects the world of Araz, which is this world in the book, to the planet Earth. And but what they said in the bottom half there, it says, however, I couldn't help but notice that the author tried too hard to sound original in the dialogue. He made up a lot of words for no reason. The characters all speak English most of the time with words like mile and other measurements of length, and several other words are replaced by random words, almost as if the author was just looking for ways to make the dialogue different and cool. It doesn't take away from the story, but it doesn't add anything either. There was no reason for it at all. Actually, there was a reason, and actually, I don't think I ever used the word mile, and I purposefully made sure not to use the word mile because it was a measure of distance. I also avoided words that had to deal with measurement of time, and several other things, and there actually was a reason for doing that. And this is one of the things that I guess as a first-time author, maybe I could have done a little bit better job of trying to flesh that out. I do know that there was another review that we had seen. I think it came through like YouTube or something. Somebody had said the same thing about the words, and another person had replied saying that the words didn't bother them, that they could actually understand them in their context. And that was one of the key things that we wanted to make sure that people understood those words, because I had a very specific reason for using them. And they actually are based on a language. And what I hope to get into in the next couple of slides here, like for example, some of the words that we used was alemeleg. Another one was udam, another ama, ohima, or hiak. I also wanted to throw up some of the artwork that we had professionally done. This is a picture of Aranon, who's the main character. He is He was commissioned by Gary Stamm, great artist, really did a really good job of illustrating and putting that together. But back to the word thing. As you can see, some of these are really funny words, and at first glance they don't seem to make a lot of sense. It's almost as if they were made up. But actually each word comes from an original language, and or actually another language, I guess is the better way of putting it. And I played around with the words using phonetics. Phonetics is the idea of how the word sounds to the ear, and not so much as to how it's spelt. I think it's referred to as transliteration. It's where you translate a name or a word into its phonetics rather than into its actual meaning, and we'll get to that in a second. So of course, why did I use funny words or made up words? One of the things during my time of researching the book, well, let me back up. I never really did the research and the study for the book. I actually was doing it just personally for myself. I had gone on what you might call a spiritual journey ever since my first daughter was born, which was back in 1997. And I grew up going to church, but I had a lot of questions about church, and I was one of those guys that I needed to see the evidence. I needed to see the proof, kind of like Doubting Thomas. If you know who Doubting Thomas was in the Bible, he was the guy that said, if I do not see, the holes in his hands or the hole in his side or any of that stuff, if I don't see any of these things, I won't believe. So he was a guy that had to see the evidence in order to believe. And later on in Scripture, Jesus actually gave him the proof that he needed so that he could believe. And so I was at that point in my life, having grown up, heard all the stories, but having a great deal of difficulty trying to even believe it. And so I began years of research and study, looking into other religions, looking into my own religion that I grew up in, the faith that I was brought up to believe. I looked at even stuff like the occult. I didn't look into it directly. I looked at people who had been in and come back out and talked about it, and so on and so forth. And so, of course, one of the things that, of course, studied was, evolution, the difference between evolutionism and creationism, and those two battles and the different viewpoints that come out of that. And, of course, I love math and science. I really do enjoy math and science. And some of the things coming across was the idea of entropy. With respect to entropy, is the idea that all things move towards chaos. Eventually, an ordered system will become disordered, and it doesn't really matter if that system is something as large as a universe, or something as small as maybe an atom, or something even in between, like my daughter's room. No matter how often we try to get her to clean the darn thing, it always goes towards entropy. It moves towards chaos, along with the bathroom and the hallway and well, just the whole house. It always goes to entropy. It just you can't help it. The other thing is coming across etymology. Actually, I can go to the next slide, and then we'll get into David Flynn real quick and Michael Heiser, if I pronounce his name right. Entropy, of course, is a thermodynamic quality representing the unavailability of a system's thermal energy from conversion into mechanical work, often interpreted as the degree of disorder or randomness in the system. So just like I said, things move towards chaos. And etymology is the study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history. The origin of word and the historical development of its meaning. So as I studied those things, learned about them, one of the people that I had come across was an author named David Flynn. David Flynn has already passed away now, but there is a collection I believe you can get from this website called stevequayle.com, and I actually have a couple of his books. I do have Cydonia, and I think it's the only two books he put out, Cydonia and Temple at the Center of Time. And one of the interesting things he had in his book is he would follow words throughout different languages. Okay, I'm back. Apparently, this screen capture software I have only runs for 10 minutes. So, apparently I'm talking too much. But to get back to what I was saying, David Flynn collection, you can get it at stevequayle.com. One of the things that he had talked about when he was studying ancient cultures is oftentimes he would follow a particular word that was sounded out phonetically. Not so much always following the exact spelling or even the exact meaning of the word, but following a word phonetically. And because you can see over time, words do pass from different languages and oftentimes can carry the exact same meaning or a slightly different meaning. Let's see if I can show you. Well, actually, it's 2 slides down. Hold on. How do I get this to go? There we go. The other person, I'm going to combine David Flynn and Michael Heiser. Michael Heiser he's an American Bible scholar and Christian who has criticized, of course, ancient alien astronaut theorists and so forth. But he's also an expert in Hebrew, Ugaritic, Sumerian, and several other languages. And he's very knowledgeable. And so, kind of after reading David Flynn, reading Michael Heiser, and actually I watched a video where Michael praised David Flynn for how he kind of looked at language, which was to kind of follow that phonetic spelling throughout history and to see how different cultures used words and how they changed over time and how they interconnected. And all of that, of course, again, you can look up Michael Heiser on the web. He has I've got his book, The Facade. I haven't gotten some of the other books yet, but he's got some really good books out there too. It's a great read. The Facade is a fiction book, a really great read. I think some of the others are nonfiction, but and he also has some Facebook page and some others. You can Google them, and you'll find them really quick. But the idea is that commonalities among and within languages can be seen via its phonetics, the way a word is pronounced. And based on that research and that background information, here's an example where you can see, for example, Bosnian. This is for the word mother. I don't know if hopefully you can see it on screen well enough, but for English, you've got mother, mama, mom. In German, it's Mutter. Greek, mana. My wife actually speaks fluent German. I say I speak fluent gibberish. But you can kind of see like for example, in Spanish, there's madre, or mama, or mami. So just the phonetic sound, the way the word sounds, you can oftentimes see how that changes over time. And I incorporated that idea with these funny words. So if you were to try to Google some of these funny words, more than likely you would not be able to find them on the web. But what I was hoping is that after a while of seeing these funny words, you would ask the question, why are they there? What's the purpose of them? Because there was a purpose in it, and actually that connects you to a particular language, which then connects you to a particular people in a time and a place. And so I wanted to put in kind of some hidden information that is an attempt to prompt you to look deeper. And this is not a new concept. I'll get to where I got that idea from here in a second. But here's actually some of the meanings of those words. Ale, if you think about Hebrew, you have Aleph, and that's the first letter, and Bet is the second letter. And same thing in Greek, it's Alpha, and then Beta. That's where we get our word alphabet. And Aleph can mean first. And in Meleg, or Melek, Melek is a name for king. And so when King Zul, when he rises to power, he is called the Ale Melek, meaning he's the first king. Sometimes the translation would be king of kings, so he's the preeminent one. Udam is a play on words for Adam. And Adam is one of those words that's transliterated. It was translated into how it sounded and not into what it meant. And its meaning is man. That's why I didn't use the word man. I used the word Udam, but I used Udam in the sense that over time their language had degraded, their pronunciations have changed, and we kind of see that even today. I mean, if you take a look at how people use language on the internet, or how they use it on Facebook or Twitter or texting, you can see the entropy of the English language. We can definitely see this downward progression of the language itself, and you can see that throughout history. So the idea that words degrade, words change, the phonetic sounds change, based upon even the different regions of where you live. Another example is the word Amma. If you were to look up the word cubic in the Hebrew, it would sound as Amma. But of course, I took out one M and an H. Same thing with Ahima. I dropped the B and took off the TH, and you have behemoth. I replaced it actually with the BE with an O, which of course is referred to as a large land-dwelling animal. And the same for Heok. There is one prophet in the Old Testament. He's the seventh from Adam. His name is Enoch. But there's also another Enoch in the New Testament, or excuse me, Old Testament. I think I said New Testament earlier. It's the Old Testament. And Enoch was the son of Cain. And what's interesting is the Ethiopic version of the book of Enoch, they pronounce it as Henoch. And so I just took Henoch and took the N out, and it became Heok. And Enoch, or Henoch, who was the son of Cain, was the one to build the first city. And of course, the major city of Araz is Heok. So those are some examples of those funny words that one reviewer and actually others thought they had no meaning, but they actually did have meaning. And the purpose of that meaning was, I was hoping that it would prompt the reader to ask, why is all this funny stuff there? Why would the author go to so much trouble to put that information in there? There's actually a proverb, Proverbs 25:2. It says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter." And one of the things that I had discovered that's employed within Scripture is that many times there are things that are concealed, and they're concealed with the intent of prompting the reader to dig deeper. What's interesting, I found out also in the occult, is they use this very same practice. And it's not so much to prompt the person to dig deeper, it's almost like a test to see, is the person smart enough to figure it out? And if you are, then well, you could be one of us. Because there are many who are within the occult that believe themselves to be a much higher evolved being. Higher than just a mere human. And I think one example I've heard in witchcraft, they refer to humans as me-humes, or mere humans. Kind of like in Harry Potter, where they were called muggles, if I remember correctly. But the idea here in the book was to try to prompt you to kind of dig a little bit further, maybe look outside of the book and try to figure out, is there more to this than meets the eye? I'm not condemning anybody who didn't do that, because again, it's just a fiction book, but I have a motive for writing a fiction book in this fiction book, and I have put many other things in there as well. And in fact, the name that we chose, J.A. Davis, for the pen name, it is a reflection of my name and my wife's name, and actually my middle name, but it actually has a deeper meaning. And I won't tell you what that is. Maybe in a later video I'll tell you what that is. But for now, hopefully that kind of explains some of the funny words. And hopefully we'll see you next time. I'm not sure if I know how to stop this silly thing. See you again.